But wherever we're at, we're all older or younger than someone, aren't we? You can look around you, perhaps try not to make eye contact with too many people. We're all older or younger than some people in the church. There are always people that we can get alongside to help. Because a major assumption in this passage is that we are a community, that we know one another, that we're sharing our lives, that there is some intergenerational involvement with people's lives here. It assumes real, authentic relationships. Now, of course, in a big church like this, some structure is important for that. We need certain structures to be in place to aid that, to facilitate that. It's good to have programs in place. But the key thing is, relationally, we know each other. We have to be open to sharing. We have to be open to being vulnerable with people, to asking for help, to approaching people who are younger or older than you. So getting very practical, one thing I think that we need to think about is perhaps on a Sunday morning after this service, have a think. Who are the people that you tend to talk to? Who are the people that you go up and chat to? Is it people who are always of your generation, who are always your friends, always sort of the peers? Or do you mix with people who are older or younger than you? Are we going out of our way to speak to one another? The commands in Scripture are the one-anothering things, encouraging one another, loving one another, challenging one another. Verse 1 says, speaking what is in accordance, what is proper with sound doctrine. Not just the teaching, but to speak it to one another. And we need to get alongside one another in that. We need to talk and have intergenerational relationships. Now, I know that we are quite good at doing that. I've seen that happen. But we need to keep doing that more and more. Now, how do you feel about that, in all honesty? How do you feel about perhaps that if you're of an older age, you might actually have something to say to some of the younger people? You might have a responsibility to share your faith and to teach others. You may respond in a variety of ways. You may be thinking, well, what could I possibly share? What could I possibly bring to younger people? Why would they be interested in hearing what I've got to say? And I say this as someone who is a bit younger. That is, nothing could be further from the truth. Younger people often crave older people to speak into their lives, to have spiritual mothers and fathers who are going to help them, who are going to get alongside them, who are going to share in their struggles. We need perhaps older people to be intentional about that. If you think that you haven't got wisdom or you haven't got anything to share with younger people, you could not be more wrong. But of course, on the flip side, it is a mutual thing, isn't it? Just because you're older, it doesn't mean you haven't got anything to learn from younger people. There could be a great encouragement, a mutual flourishing as you get alongside people. And of course, being older or younger is relative. We're all older or younger than someone. There is no Lone Ranger Christianity. We are saved into community. We have a common faith, 1 verse 4 says, a common faith for all of us. So can I ask you, are you open to getting alongside other people? Are you open in sharing your life, in perhaps teaching others, in being taught? Are you open in to be a Bible teacher, perhaps to somebody else? To sharing your life with other people? Sharing your life and your experience with others? It's a challenge for us. I think one very, very practical thing in this that helps us to do this is care groups. Because care groups are a wonderful way of getting to know a smaller group of people in the church who are intergenerational groups. You can share your life. You can pray with people who are perhaps half a century older than you in a natural way. There's a safe space, not just in a huge group, but in a much smaller group, to share your struggles, to share your worries, to share your prayer requests, to allow people to speak into your life, to be able to speak into other people, to help others. And of course, it works on two ways. The care groups are, of course, to be rooted in Scripture, grounded in doctrine. That's why we have a discussion of the Scriptures. We're to be rigorous with the Bible, but we are to do that in a way which is relational. Do we do the relational side? This is a challenge for us, I think, probably in care groups. Are they care groups or are they Bible study groups? We've talked about that as care group leaders. That's a challenge. It's great we have the Word as central, but we need to be sharing. We need to be honest. We need to be vulnerable and real with people. Are we caring for people's spiritual needs as well as just their physical needs in a care group? Are we doing this life-on-life stuff that Paul is assuming that the church is doing? Are we intergenerational community here? I feel the challenge of this personally. I hope you do too. Titus 2 assumes that disciples will be growing in community, intergenerationally with each other. We're a family, a church family.